Okay, so um, I've showed you how to do uh, playlist and many of the different ways you control it, loop it, select, how you can change the selections, change pitch, speed, time stretch, those sorts of things. But now I want to turn this demonstration into something of a performance patcher. So I want to say take my um, uh, four sound files that I have loaded in playlist. I want to be able to trigger them from a MIDI keyboard and adjust their ranges from a MIDI keyboard. Um, do those things that and speed. I would do those things that I want to do, but just from MIDI instead of doing them on clicking around the screen and having such a busy little interface here. So I'm going to start converting this patch. I'm going to unlock it. I'm going to do a save as. Um, it's just called playlist glitch video. And I'm going to start working on it now to get rid of some things I don't want. Let's get rid of all these things that are down here that have to do with playing clips randomly as one ends, playing another. Let's delete that. Get rid of some of my comments that explain what things are, because I'm performing, I know what they are. So kind of start moving things over. Get rid of this. And what I can start to do now is set up loop control. That would be a good thing to do. And I can put this in a more, let's say, more encapsulated type setup. So I'm going to set up a toggle that connects to all. I'm just going to set up so I can loop them all. And then I'm going to select these objects and encapsulate. So then also give it a name. Let's say loop control. And move that over here. I'm going to change this comment there. I'm going to put a load bang, which will automatically, when I load the patch, turn on all the looping. But if I click on it, I'm command clicking because the patch is unlocked. I can turn looping on and off for all four files. All right, and I don't need the comment because I've named the patcher is the comment that I've encapsulated. Now I can get rid of this. That's an extra way of doing loop control that I'm not going to use. Then maybe I'll do the time stretching next. Toggle in. Encapsulation, Shift Command E. And I'll just call this time stretch on off or time stretch enable. And you won't see anything when this gets turned on, but we'll be able to affect pitch independently of speed. I'm going to hook it up to the load bang because I think that's what I normally would want. I'm going to make the playlist bigger so I have a bigger view of my sound files for manipulation. Let's move that patch cord out of the way. So that's going nicely. I think now, what do I want to do? I need to be able to make selections. I think that's my next step. And I'm going to get rid of some of this. I don't need the rangefinder. I need the two floating point number boxes. I need to get rid of this because I don't want to use that. Let's move this over a little bit. So what I'm going to do is show you a way to hook this up. We know we can use Control N. I've got controllers numbered 48 through 52. So I'm going to do Control N 48. I got that actually for higher, but 48 is one row and 52 is the next. I'm going to use them in rows. So 48, and I was going to hook up an integer, prove to myself that that's what I've got. There it is. Don't need that. So there's a couple ways I can get floating point. One way is with a live dial. So the max for live objects, the dial. The live dial has two outputs. One will give me the parameter value, however it's been set. Right now it's set from 0 to 127. The other side will give me a float 0 to 1, and that's what I need for selection. The other way would be to do, well, there's many ways, but the other way would be do 52 is my next row of controllers. It's just below, and I can divide by 127 point. It has to be a floating point division, and I hook that in. POC's being used, remember, because if I change either one of them, I want the list to be sent out. And so if I do 52, yep, there's that. There's number one. All right, so I've got some selections. I can copy this now 4 times. And just barely fit it in. So obviously I'd probably clean this up and decide to go one way or the other on here, but I'm just going to leave it. So 48, 49, skip 1, this should be 50. Skip 1, this should be 51. Then I'm going to go back over here, so 48, 52, skip 1, 53, skip 1, 54. Skip another one, get to 55. Then I have to come down and change the selection. That's 2, 3, and 4. And hook them up. I'm going backwards so I can hold down the Shift key. And then I can encapsulate, well, just show that it all works. There we go. And one thing that's important to notice, that if I take the beginning of a selection and I'm increasing it to the point that it gets past the end, it figures out that that's now the end. Playlist figures it out for you. So that works pretty well. And I just get some things in there, and so it all depends on where these things are. So made some selections. I can encapsulate the whole thing now because I don't need to see the value, the floating point values. I see on the screen the result of my knob turning. So that's enough. So again, Shift Command E, encapsulate, and this will be my loop selection. Put that here. So now another thing I need, I'm using my computer keyboard to start and stop the playback of clips. So I'm going to go over here and do a little note in to strip note. And I've got drum pads on my controller. Can hook one up here. So I've got 36, 37, 38, 39 that I can do. Now I have been using the keys to get number 1 through 4. So now I can know that my first one I want to do on 36. I can subtract 35. And hook that into this box. And I can encapsulate it, Shift Command E. So let's call it something like note clip. And then we can get rid of this. So that's working. I can turn all my looping on. Now, I don't have a keyboard way to stop it yet, so I think maybe I should fix that. Let me go back into my note clip patcher. And so I have another pad that is 43, and that doesn't control a clip because I don't have anything in there. So I am going to just look for 43. If I get 43, it's going to send out a bang. And I can see it with the button. And the bang can send out, can bang the message 0. Then if it's not 43, it's going to come out of this. If it doesn't match 43, so all my other ones are going to go and have 35 subtracted. And 43 now stops the whole thing. So that's working pretty well. I think the last thing I'm going to do before I quit is put some different files in there. I'm thinking I don't want, especially don't want the Nightingale. Thinking maybe I will put a servo motor in. So you see the loop turns off and the selection, but I can turn that back on depending on what I want. And turn the loop on here. Then Lemaire, I think I'm going to do with a fragment of everything in its place. Everything in its right place. Turn the loop back on and get my fragment somewhere around here. And okay, that's a little bit louder than all the clips. So I'm going to stop this part here, save what I've got, and start the next video. So join me again in a minute.